Bante.
Sadhu.
Sukihotu.
Sukihotu.
Shall we enjoy this pu'er cha, this pu'er tea? This cup of tea in my two hands, awareness held perfectly. Our minds and bodies dwell in this very great completion. That's my remix of Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh's Gatha for drinking tea, mindfulness verse.
Well, here we are. Here in the Pure Land.
Here in the Pure Land, here and now. The Pure Land is in here. It is an inner reality. It's good to be with you, brother. We met in person in 2021 or early 2022 at Empty Cloud Monastery.
Sure, I believe that.
For a retreat. And since then, we've had a good relationship as brothers on the path to nirvana, to enlightenment, also as monk brothers as well, brothers from another mother. So I like the sound of the joy of clarity. The joy of clarity, having a clear mind. And that's something that we've both experienced for a while, off and on the path. So how does it feel to be here together at Deer Park Monastery?
Mostly it feels like this tea. But there's a lot of joy and comfort and encouragement and brotherhood. So to be here with you, my brother, and to be in this container of practice is very comforting, and it's like strong rails for a train. Keep going, keep training, and there's a lot of joy in knowing that the path has a direct way forward. Brotherhood supports that, and being here at Deer Park is very supportive to that.
Most definitely. I resonate with your words. We both spent a great deal of time being alone and traveling, which is the way that the awakened one, the Buddha Shakyamuni, recommended, the way of the rhinoceros. But we both also acknowledge the beauty and the importance of being a community context like here at Deer Park, a big, loving, mindful Sangha. So briefly, can you share with us what it's like to go from being alone, from roaming around the world of Buddhism in Asia, to settling down into a community that is big, relatively speaking, compared to other temples, such as Deer Park Monastery?
Well, this is my second retreat, range retreat, and then some extra time here at Deer Park Monastery in California, Thich Nhat Hanh Sangha. It's another home for me on the path, for sure, and here we have many elder brothers and also elder sisters, monks and nuns, who are supporting each other on the path. And to be in an environment like that is nourishing. There are difficulties that go along with it. When you are alone, you only have to deal with, to some extent, your own suffering, your own difficulty. But when you stay together with others, especially practicing together, then also taking on their suffering or their confusion or their anger, their greed, their delusion. But also taking on their joy, taking on their bodhicitta, their inspiration for the practice. So there is positive and negative point, but concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, living at a Buddhist monastery with Buddhist monks and nuns, that means that whatever I experience, I can use it for mindfulness, for detachment, for doing good deeds, for staying with my precepts. And that's what I'm practicing with now.
Likewise. Taking time to reflect on your words as I hear the sound of this tea being poured into these precious glass cups. This too is meditation.
It's a art that is both the most difficult and the most accessible to touch joy or touch peace or enter into the simplicity of this present moment experience, whether that's going for a walk or drinking tea, whether that's seeing the sunlight or conducting an interview. There's an entry point in each and every moment of the present. And tea can be a real art form and a way of practice to see the mind of the other person and also to see your own mind when you are sharing with the others.
Certainly. This tea is bold. It has a lot of unique notes. I believe this particular batch of pu'er, some pronounce it pu'er tea from China, is about 10 to 13 years old. Likewise in the practice, now you have going on over 5 years as a monk, total time as a monk. And you went right into bhikkhuhood, full ordination. So you definitely have some wisdom, some insights that are unique to you, and that also will benefit younger practitioners, those who just ordained, some of the younger brothers here. I'm also younger than you on the path as a monk. So what comes to mind when you think about the joy of clarity? What does it feel like to have a clear mind?
I don't need to rely on what people say or what I think or what I experience or what I like or what I don't like. I can rely on the truth. So this is the precursor, the chemical elements necessary to develop boundless joy, especially in difficult conditions or conditions that are surprising or not clear. So that doesn't mean I'm always experiencing joy, but there's a lot of it. And I can know that joy for me goes together with clarity or the truth, rather than complicated thinking or some desire or some fear, some success or some failure. Those are stepping stones to arrive here in the now, here in this moment, which is, this moment is not a story. This moment is not about any person or place or experience in particular. It's this moment drinking tea.
This moment drinking tea. Indeed. Earlier we had walking meditation, very slow walking meditation today, and it was very special. Every occasion is special. But the monk who led it today is known for walking very slowly, and it creates this very strong mindful energy that makes you even more mindful. And the clarity associated with each step and each breath is beautiful. It is blissful. We use words, joy and clarity, but there's just this knowing. But people like language, and we use language, so we say the joy of clarity, a clear mind. but it's very precious. Just like that. No thinking required. Direct knowledge, the sound, the taste of the tea, the feeling of the energy increasing, the mind becoming more alert, the caffeine is going to work in the brain and nervous system. All the while just knowing. How would you tell someone who wants to have a well-rounded practice, given that the Buddha emphasized being alone at the foot of a tree, an empty dwelling place, and so on, the famous sutta on how to practice, but also we both know the joy of being in a community like here. How to go about creating a balance of being alone and also being with others? Or would you even recommend that?
Most people are too arrogant to listen to anyone else. So firstly, we need to humble ourselves to find the joy and the clarity in the reality of people being older than us, people being more experienced than us, people having more insight than us to a large degree. Now, the laws of impermanence are all the more relevant when it comes to the mind or insight or mental states. But the reality is that some people are stronger and some are weaker. Some people are more intelligent, some people are less intelligent. Some people are more peaceful, some people are less peaceful. So you need to know your limits. You need to know your barriers, and you need to find and connect with people or teachers that have gone beyond those barriers, or who have become more skillful in what you want to get success in. Most people, they are already isolated, they are already alone. So they can and they should, to a large extent, but not necessarily, to take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. To get involved in meditation community, to get involved in Buddhist practice, to get involved in the philosophy of awakening, rather than making money or these schemes for their life.
Indeed, and that's something that's special about this place as well. Practitioners without robes, I say that sometimes instead of saying lay people. Practitioners without robes can come here and benefit and experience the same, pretty much the same deep practice. We have other commitments and mindfulness trainings, as Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh calls them, our precepts. But for the most part, we're walking and sitting together here. We're eating in silence together here, half of the meal in silence and stillness, not getting up for seconds until the bell is invited after 15 or 20 minutes. So, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, what does that mean to you? These are just words. Some people have barely read about the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha.
It means that the truth of birth and death is here and now. Not just your suffering, not just your anxiety, not just your psychosis, not just your bad life or your good life, but the reality of birth and death is here and now. Just like the reality of birth and death is there for all the children of Gaza over these past months. And that the Buddha in you is beyond birth and death. The Buddha in you can cut through all phenomenal experiences, whether name or form, and wake up to peace, to freedom, to happiness, to joy. The Dhamma is the ways and means and skillful teachings leading to that realization, and also the ending of sufferings and barriers that may prevent that realization from taking place. And the Sangha is the community of people who have touched the deathless, who have known about the truth, and have been verified to know about the truth to some extent by elders or meditation masters, and also the community of ordained monks and nuns. So that's what you are to do your best to get involved with as someone who's approaching the spiritual path. This is we can't say this is the best way, but what we can say is that this has shown to be the most effective way of spiritual practice for the past 2,700 years. And so if you want to be effective, you should concern yourself with that tradition and find out about it. You can also approach it in a secular way, as many Westerners do, through secular or non-religious Buddhist groups. But we also can't take the meditation or the Dhamma or the community out of Buddhism and call it something else. Where did you get that? Oh, I got it from Buddhism. Okay, well, if you want the source, you should go back to Buddhism. You should know about it for yourself.
Definitely, well said. I agree. So yesterday we briefly talked about monk life, and there's someone here who's considering being a monk. And we were both saying, I went into this without really contemplating all that monk life entails, which I don't regret. I was inspired by the life of the Buddha, and I had a lot of stress and suffering, of course. And I would give different reasons, like other practitioners, for why I ordained, but underlying it all was discontent. It was discontentment, dissatisfaction with the world. But people don't want to hear that. That's boring. Oh, stress, we all have stress, so they want to know something exciting. But that was the real reason why I put on robes and shaved the head, because I had a lot of stress, and I saw that there's a different way to live. However, this life is no joke. It's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. So what advice would you give to a young bro or sister who wants to ordain? Keeping it real with them. What's in store for them? But also, we both know there's a lot of joy and bliss on this path with the right intention and connections in places like Deer Park Monastery.
Well, thank you for the question, brother. It's not realistic to ordain or talk about ordaining until you become a Buddhist and a meditator. So the initial work is becoming a Buddhist and becoming a meditator and finding out what that means. That includes study, practice. It includes connecting with people who are meditators, who are Buddhists, and learning from them. It's not playtime. It's not something to do loosely. You need to be serious about it. And what you will learn very quickly is that you don't know what you're doing. You don't know where you are. You don't know what's happening. Your life should fall out underneath your feet. You forget, you detach from, you stumble over the life of being a lay person, a normal person. And you begin to learn by getting trained by monks who are more senior, successful, experienced than you. And you're not even a monk at that point, so all monks are that to you. What it means to be a monk, and how you live, and how you wear your robe, and how you interact with other monks and other people. It's taking on a new life, a new birth. And birth has a lot of suffering that goes along with it. It's not difficult to become a monk, but it is difficult to stay being a monk. This is why we value seniority in the monastic life. This is why we respect it and create this hierarchy of, oh, this person's been a monk for so many years. And they're respected in that way because it takes a lot of dedication and commitment to stay on this path and not simply give it up. When your mind becomes more healthy and wealthy, Many people will give up their monastic life to go pursue something else, or they will not be successful much in their monastic life, so they will get sick, and then instead of continuing, they will turn back to, a normal life, to be a normal person. So if you are ready to be born again, then, firstly you need to become a Buddhist and a meditator, so don't even think about becoming a monk. Most people aren't serious enough about spiritual life or enlightenment or meditation to become a Buddhist and a meditator, to take those steps to get involved. Most people don't have that level of seriousness or the good conditions to do it. So first, focus on that. And then if you can establish yourself in being a Buddhist and a meditator, then you can start to look at the possibility of ordaining, becoming a monk. And the way that you do that is by connecting with monks, And you can't connect with a monk in space or this special monk over there. You've got to connect with the monks that are in front of you, And if you want different monks or you want to connect with someone in particular, you better go find them. Walk on the path. Otherwise, you have to use what's in front of you. And if you can't use that, then you can't use anything. You'll just be spinning your wheels.
Thank you for those wise words. So we will enjoy the rest of this tea, and we will also be producing more content together.
Yeah.
Listen, this wonderful sound brings the mind to its true home. That was the mindfulness bell, and it came at the right time because that concludes this interview with Bhikkhu Bright Wisdom. In Pali it is Varrapanyo. This is Bhikkhu Nalaka, also known as Brother Diamond. Be well. Sadhu, Sukhi Hotu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, brother.
My pleasure. If you are watching this outro, that means you've made it through the entirety of this video, or you were scrubbing through it, which is okay as well. I hope you've enjoyed this interview with Brother Bright Wisdom, aka Bhante Varrapanyo, and I, Modern Contemplative. I've included a link to my Substack so you can read some of my profound essays and check out some of my poems. Don't forget to like, subscribe to this channel, comment, or ask any question anytime. Sadhu, Sukhi Hotu.